Okay. Show of hands. We rolling? All right. Show of hands. Who read this week's Torah portion? Melissa, I was bragging on you. It might have been Larry, but I'm not sure. I was bragging on you recently to somebody, and I said I recommend that everybody read the Torah portion before you show up so that we can have intelligent conversation and questions, and it's not like all brand new and hitting us. And I said, we have this one sister who shows up with like 4 pages of notes of stuff she wants to talk about. And I personally think that really drives the conversation and the study and the learning. So I bragged on you. I didn't mention you by name, but I just did.
I was there. It's true. He's not making it up.
No, I don't. Y'all know me good enough by now. I never lie to make somebody feel good. I just don't do that. All right, today's Torah portion is Genesis chapter 12. That's where we start. You guys can go there. And it goes through 17. So up to Genesis 18. And when I read the first little bit of this Torah portion, I got like this downloading because I've been talking to other people. Shalom! Wait till you get seated, brother. We're just starting. We're in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. And so I was reading that. I'm going to read that for y'all now. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Now Yahweh had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto the land which I shall show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee, and in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed, as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Okay, and so that's how it starts, and we go forward from there. Look at that verse 1 again. Yahweh said to Abram, get thee out of thy country and away from your family. People who are about my age, I have no idea from when I was 34, because I kind of quit watching horror movies around 30 for no particular reason. I just don't like them. But before that, in high school, I always watched them. Do y'all remember when it goes like that on movies, like real scary? And it's subliminal what's going on. It's saying get, out. And it makes you scary. It's like, oh, they got to get out of there. And so the Father's not being subliminal about it. He says, get thee out, right? Get out of your land, get away from your people. And look at verse 4. So Abram departed, and he took Lot with him. So Abram was obedient, and he got out. He left the people. And Brother Eric and I were talking Jasher, where he's talking about the idol room and he smashes the idols. He told him to leave, and his father also told him to leave, and there was a lot going on there. But basically, he had to leave everything he was comfortable with. Even Lot was with him, and Lot leaves too. Let's go look at next week's Torah portion, Genesis chapter 19, verse 12. It would be good if I could get there. I'm out of practice. 19 and 12. So, just setting it up, the 2 angels, it says messengers in scriptures, are staying with Lot, and all these evil, wicked sodomites are trying to break down his door and get at these guys, right? And so the 2 angels blinded everybody outside the door who's trying to get in. Big flashbang. And then verse 12, and then the men, this is the angels, said unto Lot, oh no, this is the men outside, have you any there besides, stop. This is the angels talking. And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides you, son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. Come out, get out. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of Yahweh, and Yahweh has sent us to destroy it. And so Lot went out, and he spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and he said, up, get you out of this place, for Yahweh will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold of his hand. The angels grabbed him. And upon the hand of his wife and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Yahweh being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth, and they set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou on the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. Where do I want to go to? 26. And Lot said unto them, oh, not so, my lord, my master. Behold, thy servant has found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live. So see, here's the deal. Lot is at home. The angels say, hey, you got to go. You got to get out of here. The father is going to destroy this place. Hey, do you have anybody you care about? Sons-in-law, daughters, anything like that you want to take with you? Go get them, because it's time to bug out. It's time to leave. And so what does Lot do? He goes to his sons-in-law and he's like, let's go. Come on, get my daughters, let's go. Do they go? No, they don't go. They stay there. The next morning, the angels are like, hey, we got to go. And does it say lingered in scriptures? What word does it use for lots wasting time? Loitering. He's just hanging out. He's reluctant to go. And so what do the angels do? They grab a hold of him and they say, let's go. It's time to go. This place is going up in flames. And so they're headed towards the mountains. They're going to escape to the mountains, and then Lot bargains and he's like, hey, how about this city? It's not really a big city. It's not a big wicked city. It's a little city, see, and it's close by. Can I go there and stay in this little city? And bottom line, what does his wife do? Just cutting to the chase.
Turns around.
She looks back. She longs for what she left, and she turns into a pillar of salt. And so the Father, through his angels, through his messenger, says, you got to get out. You got to leave. And even Lot is obedient, albeit reluctantly, right? But he does go. He's not fighting the angels when they grab him by the hand, but they have to grab him by the hand. And I submit that because of Lot's weakness, because of his lack of gumption, that's why his sons-in-law didn't come. He wasn't setting a great example. I mean, Lot made a house in this Sodom and Gomorrah terrible place. He used to sit in the gate and chit-chat. He wasn't strong enough will of personality for his sons-in-law to bring his daughters and go, the ones that were living with them. And then he didn't have enough gumption to lead his wife. And because of that, his wife turned around and longed for what was past. He hadn't set it up for her. That like, hey, we got to go, baby. And explain it to her in whatever way she understands. And so for that, he loses her too. So he lost some of his daughters and he lost his wife. And I submit, even though he was obedient, he was weak in his obedience, and that happened. We have other stories like that. Yahweh leads the children, Israel, out of Egypt through Moshe, right? But it's Yahweh who does it. He chooses Moshe to enact his will. And he leads them out of bondage of the Egyptians and Mitzrayites. He leads them out of hard labor, slave labor, right? So it's a bad life. And if you guys remember that story, when it's building up to it, Pharaoh's like, oh, you thought your life was hard when you had to make so many bricks every day? Well, now guess what? You get to cut your own straw, and you still have to make, matter of fact, double it, right? The number of bricks you got to make. So it makes their life hard, and yet the Father leads them out, and Moshe leads them out away from this bitter bondage and hard labor. But how did they look at it? The Israelites looked at it, well, it pays the bills. At least we got somewhere to sleep. At least we have some food to eat. Oh, we have the cucumbers and the leeks of Egypt, and why did you bring us out here today? Remember all that moaning and kvetching and everything they do? And so even though they were slaves, even though they were under this hard bondage, they didn't really want to go, if you think about it. Not deep down in their soul, but Moshe, through his force of leadership, and the Father, of course, brings them out. Even though they're working hard, when they come out, think about life. They're no longer living in a house. They're living in a temporary dwelling, a sukkah, right? They're living in a tent. They're out in the hot desert. They're out where they get thirsty, right? They get thirsty a bunch of times. Oh God, what'd you do? Bring us out here to die of thirst? Dun, dun, dun. So it wasn't an easy life that they came out to, but they came out. They came out and they came away from Egypt. The whole time that they're away from that slavery, and I say a lot of people work for their wage slave jobs or stuff like that. The whole time they're out from that, Yahweh continues to lead them. He continues to show them his presence by column of fire at night, column of smoke in the day, comes down, all the miracles that happen while they're out there. Guys, can you help them get seats free? There you go. So they're not under slavery anymore. They're being led by Almighty God. And what do they want? They want to go back. They want to go back to Egypt. They whine and they complain about going back to Egypt. Let's go to Revelation. I told Brother Tony, I'm glad he wore that shirt today. Let's go to Revelation chapter 18. Verse 1. And after these things, I saw another angel, Scripture says messenger, I think, come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God, Elohim, hath remembered her iniquities. Kuhimp, come out of her, my people. Can you see the theme that's going on? It goes throughout the word. The Father continues to call his people out, whether that's Abraham, whether that's the Israelites, whether that's here in the end times in Revelation. He's calling them out of the world, if you will. He's calling them away from the noise. He's calling them to be set apart from the sin that is going on all around them. What sin? What is sin? Transgression of the law, right? 1 John 3:4. So he's calling them away from that. And so that's like, okay, I hear you, PJ, but we preach Jesus. Well, let's see about Jesus. Let's go to Mark chapter 6. Y'all aren't saying that. Some people are saying that. Mark chapter 6, verse 39. And he, Yeshua, commanded them to make all sit down by companies upon the green grass. and they sat down in ranks by hundreds and by 50s. That's very organized, this crowd that he's preaching to, right? He's getting them all organized to sit down. It's not just a mob. And when he had taken up the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, he looked up to heaven and he blessed and he brake the loaves and he gave them to his disciples and he set them before them. And the 2 fishes divided he among them all. And they did all eat and were filled, were satisfied. And they took up 12 baskets full of fragments and of fishes. And they that did eat of the loaves were about 5,000 men. So that's the miracle of the loaves and the fishes. Yeshua has preached, and now he has fed the people. And oh, look, all we have is this to feed them. How are we going to feed everybody? And he said, don't worry about it. Watch this. And so he performs this miracle. And then what happens next? Look at verse 45. And then straight away, he constrained his disciples, get on the ship and go to the other side before unto Bethsaida, while he sent away the people. And when he had sent them away, he departed into a mountain to pray. So when he's done doing all this work with the people, where does he go to get closer to the Father? To the mountain. He's getting away, and in the mountain there's no people walking around. He's not going to be disturbed. It's just like up there. And so he's going to be set apart physically. He is coming out of the civilization, if you will, and he is going to be closer to the Father. Isaiah 40 and 9. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 9. O Zion, that bringeth glad tidings, get thee up into the high mountain. O Jerusalem, that bringeth glad tidings, lift up thy voice with strength. Lift it up, be not afraid. Say unto the cities of Judah, behold your God, your Elohim. Get thee up into the high mountains. Why get up into the high mountains? Because you can be closer to God because God's in the sky. That's not it, right? It's to get away from the noise, to get away from the maddening crowd, to get away from all the pressure of life and only have Yah to focus on. Right now, back then, in the future, which like we read in Revelation, Yahweh, the Father, is calling his people to come out. We know that he's calling his people to come to the Ozarks. He may be calling his people to come other places, but we know he's calling his people to come out. Most everybody here has come from somewhere else to be in the Ozarks. And so he's calling his people out. The question becomes, can you hear him? Do you have ears to hear? Do you have eyes to see what's going on in the world to understand what's... Who did I just say that to? Can you smell what? Oh, that was... Yeah, that was yesterday. Sawyer. Can you smell what she's putting down? I think that's what I said. Making a joke on the thing. But can you all see what's going on? Do you have eyes to see what's happening? Let's go to 1 Kings, chapter 19. Judges, Samuel... 1 Kings chapter 19. No, chapter 19. Uh-huh. First Kings chapter 19, verse 4. Elijah has killed the prophets. It's a great story. If you haven't read it in a while, you can go back and read it. And he is on the run from who? Do y'all remember? Jezebel. He's on the run from Jezebel. So we're in 1 Kings 19, verse 9. And so he's running. I'll just start in 8. And he arose and he did eat and drink, and he went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, to the mount of Elohim. And he came thither unto a cave, and he lodged there. And behold, the word of Yahweh came to him, and he said unto him, What doest thou here, Elijah? Why are you running away and hiding in a cave? Is basically, I added that part. And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahweh Elohim of hosts, for the children of Israel have because the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thy altar, slain thy prophets with the sword, and I, even I only am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And he said, Go forth, stand upon the mount before Yahweh, and behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and brake in pieces the rocks before Yahweh. But Yahweh was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But Yahweh was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But Yahweh was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. And that's when he hears it. And so when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in a mantle, and he went out, and he stood in the entering of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him, and it said, What are you doing here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahweh Elohim of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thy altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And Yahweh said unto him, Go, return on thy way to the wilderness of Damascus. And then it goes on. He runs away, he goes into the wilderness, he goes into a cave, and the Father is not in the loud wind. The Father is not in the tumultuous earthquake. The Father is not in the roaring. You get the impression of like a forest fire that's going on. He's in the still, small voice. And that still, small voice can be very difficult to hear when we surround ourselves with the noise of the world or the sins of Babylon or that kind of thing. And so, Kuhim, come out of her, my people. Right here in this room, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys have, by and large, come out of her, come out of those built-up areas, and you have moved to the wilderness to a degree. But YouTube, which thank you, Brother Roger, we're going out to YouTube later today. YouTube needs to hear that. You need to come out of her, my people. It's a standard throughout the Bible. It's a consistent, the word is escaping me, concept throughout the Bible that we need to be separate, to be set apart, to be holy, to be coming out of where everybody else is. And so for y'all here in the room, I'm preaching to the choir, maybe. See, the concept of what I call Kuhim, come out of her, my people, deals on one level with physically removing yourself. And we read lots of examples of physically, Yeshua removes himself to the mountain. There was another one I was going to do where he goes away to pray. And like everything in the Bible, the simpler meaning is true. And it's worthy, but there are deeper meanings. And so, yes, you should physically remove yourself if you're of Yah's people. And the physical movement allows us to move away from the noise, but it allows us, there's two ways of thinking of things. Like I'm running away from the noise, I'm running away from the violence, I'm running away from the sin, from all that terribleness. But what are you running to? You're running to the Father. Just like Yeshua goes to the mountain to pray, to seek his Father's face, you're running to that peace that exceeds all understanding. You're running to shalom with the Father. You're running to understanding. You're literally running towards Yahweh when you leave the worldly things behind. Yeshua said, no one comes unto the Father but by me. And so we understand that. But he himself would go off into the wilderness to be with him. And so most of you have done the physical move, and that's where the preaching to the choir part comes from. But the deeper meaning of this whole concept is to come out of the world spiritually, to come out of the world emotionally, to come out of the world psychically, being concerned with the things of the world. They don't matter, and a lot of us, and I say us, me too. I spend as much time on my phone as anybody here, if not more. And most of that is worldly stuff. Oh, look at this cop shooting. Oh, look at this, what's going on in China. Oh, look at this right here. Oh, look at that. That's all worldly stuff. That's not focusing on the Father. Oh yeah, but you're seeing what's happening. The Bible already told us what's going to happen. We already know what's going to happen. Yeah, it's happening. Okay, good. So we have a lot of baggage that we bring with us that I'm telling you we need to come out of. That's us in this room. We need to let go of that. Romans chapter 12, please. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove, that you may test what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Elohim. We have to come out of the world. We have to be transformed in our mind to focus on different things than the world focuses on. Most of us have heard this story, if not told this story, this meme, this idea that we got all these darn Californians and New Yorkers that are moving out here to the country to get away from all that garbage that they left behind, and what do? They bring it all with them, right? And they want to bring all their citified ways out here to the country and ruin it for everybody. We all tell that story. Guess what? Emotionally, spiritually, psychically, I don't mean that in a new age way, just your brain. We're all coming out to come here, and we're bringing with us a lot of garbage that we should have left behind, that we should not be messing with anymore. We cling to the world by our thoughts. We cling to the world by our actions. I did a video not that long ago where I talked about priorities. And it's like I said, your number one priority should be your relationship with the Father. And I think a lot of people would say, my number one priority is to be right with Jesus. Okay, well guess what? Faith works. You can see somebody's faith by their works. Your priorities are evident in what you do with your time. You have 24 hours a day. How you spend your time is what your priorities are. It doesn't matter what you would like them to be. It doesn't matter what you like the idea of your priorities to be. Your priorities are what you spend time on. That's your real priority. And I think we all can change our priorities a little bit. We can tweak them to make them more in line with what the Father wants. This same concept, we're going to switch gears a little bit, but not too much. This same concept of come out, leave it behind, come out of her, my people, is expressed in different ways in the Word. Let's go to Matthew chapter 19. Matthew chapter 19. We're just going to start at verse 1. And it came to pass that when Yeshua had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee, and he came unto the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And the great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. And the Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him. They're trying to set him up. And saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? And he answered, and he said unto them, have you not read, which by the way is a slam on the Pharisees? They're supposed to be very well read and very learned. And he's like, you silly Pharisees, have you not read? You've read it. That he which has made them at the beginning made them male and female. Boy, we could go on a tangent there, couldn't we? but that would make people angry out there in the world. In the beginning made them male and female, and he said, for this cause, now this is Yeshua speaking, shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. And I'll just finish the thought. Wherefore they are no more twain, two, but one flesh. And therefore, at what Elohim has joined together, let no man put asunder. But can you see the concept there? It's leaving what you love, and you're cleaving to something else. You're leaving and cleaving, as Sister Kate and I like to say. Biblically, when we read it in the Word, who's the bridegroom? Yeshua is the bridegroom, right? He's the groom. And who's the bride?
The church.
The church, right? In the end times, is church. And so we just read about marriage. We just read about leave your father and mother and cleave to your spouse, to your wife. We need to leave and cleave. We need to leave the old behind, the old spiritual stuff that we worshiped, that we did behind, and we need to cleave unto the new. Let's go to Matthew chapter 10. 10:34. Yeshua speaking, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. Who's closer to you, generally speaking, to one, not you personally maybe, who's closer than your kin, than your household, than your family? And Yeshua saying, hey, I'm coming to put a big wedge in there. I'm coming to put a big wedge in that. You need to leave, just like so shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife. Here he is again using the same type of analogy in a slightly different way. And verse 37, he that loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loves a son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his stake and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it. Leave and cleave. You got to leave that old stuff behind, even that stuff that you think you're supposed to love. And elsewhere we can read it worded differently. He who doesn't hate his mother, and love me. It doesn't literally mean hate your mother. It means compared to the love you have for Yeshua, that's a hate. There's only one way. You got to get off that fence, and too many of us are sitting on that fence. And so we, in this room, we say, and I think we believe that we have kuhemt. We have come out of her, my people. We've left those big built-up cities and many of us, those high-paying jobs that we had, and we're accepting less financial stuff. And so in one way, we're like, yeah, good for us. And that is good. But where are you on the deeper, more important concept of leaving and cleaving? Where are you on the more important concept of really leaving that garbage behind and moving forward? What are you willing to give up? Yeshua just said, if you're not willing to kick your parents to the curb, who honor thy father and mother that it may go well with you, compared to him, you're not worthy of him. And so what are you willing to give up to leave behind? Let's look at Matthew chapter 13, verse 44. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like, this is Yeshua speaking, is like a treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hides it. And for joy, therefore, he goes and he sells all that he has, and he buys that field. He found this treasure in the field, he hides it, he sells everything he has to go buy that field with that treasure in it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man seeking goodly pearls, who, when he has found one pearl of great price, he went and sold all that he had and he bought it. He knew what he saw when he saw that pearl. And it was worth it to him to sell everything he could have to buy that pearl. This is Yeshua talking about the kingdom of heaven. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea and gathered of every kind. And when it was full, they drew it to the shore and they sat down. Here's another whole concept in the Bible. And they gathered the good into vessels. But what did they do with the bad?
Threw it away.
They threw it away. Cling on to the good. Get rid of the bad. If this is worth it, it's worth everything. It's not worth half. It's not worth, well, I'll hang on to this a little bit because, whatever. But I really mean it. This is really my number one priority. We have a new treasure that's being offered to us. It's being offered to us through Yeshua. Are you willing to discard the old treasure? Those things that you value in the world. Like I said, your true priorities in life show in your actions, in what you actually do, in how you conduct yourself, in how you live and what you value. It is past time for us to cast off the old and cling to the new. We're supposed to be new creatures in Christ, right? So we should act like it. It is past time for us to leave and cleave. We're supposed to leave the old man, the old woman behind, that old person that we were, that worldly person. We're new creatures in Christ. We're supposed to cast off our lusts and our desires for the shiny baubles of Babylon. And we're supposed to cling ever more closely to the Father through Yeshua. It is past time for us to truly come out of her, my people. It is past time for us to truly leave and cleave unto him. Let's pray.